Well, hey there everyone, this is Barry's Best Honey. I'm Mike and I do bees. It is June 28th. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana on a beautiful, beautiful morning. Well folks, it's a beautiful morning out here. Just panning out at the day. Of course it's hot. I remember working in outside work a few years ago, and we'd always go, man, it's hot. Well, of course it's hot. It's Southeast Louisiana. But it is beautiful in the mornings. We still can get in the shade and cool off. But hey, we live where we live. We appreciate what we have. And you know, I'm just grateful for another day, and I rejoice because this is a day that the Lord has made. So what might we be doing today? Well, we are going, you know, I'm not in raggedy, nasty clothes, so obviously I'm doing something that's not going to be all hot and sweaty and outside, really. We're going to go ahead and start harvesting some honey, but I want to show you some new equipment. I'm so excited about this. I have used it already. I've done a total of like 30 boxes through this new equipment, and I want to show it to you because it's going to change a lot for me. I thought about this piece of equipment last year, but let's get in here. We got 35 boxes in here that have to be harvested. So we need to get in, get washed up, get cleaned up, and get ready to go. It is kind of loud in here with all the fans running, but we are drying some honey. There is some uncapped stuff in here. I still left plenty of supers out there. Empty supers I put back on. Any supers that had dark brood comb in them that they had gotten into and laid that I'd already extracted, I put those in there, you know, so that they have room, and that's where we'll store them over an excluder until around December. Anything I pull off in December, I can pull it off. If it's got nectar in it, I'll let it get robbed out. As long as they got enough in their brood chambers. And it's a great place for me to store some of these darker combs that the wax moths might try and mess up a little bit. All the clear comb, I'll show you and do a video on how I store comb, how I store honey supers versus brood boxes and all that. I do it each year, and I will do another one this year because I think they're very valuable to see other people's perspectives on how they do things. So these are our supers. There's a few partials in here. Like I said, I think maybe 3 or 4 that are just kind of half full, not capped. Like this one on top, I know I put it on top, the guys did for me, so that it would be dried and I could go in there and look. But those are all new frames, and the majority of them is capped. There's probably 90% capped on most all my boxes, but on those frames, like the top is capped and then the bottom is not. We did a shake test, it didn't shake out, but we're gonna dry it anyway. But I think it's plenty dry because the bees, when they go loading these combs, something that I see questions on is how can I get the bees to cap this stuff? Sometimes they won't ever cap honey that is not completely full. Sometimes comb, they'll fill it, and then when the flow stops, they can't finish the cells. They won't fill them all the way. Well, they're not gonna cap a cell that's like still got that much left to fill. So when they cap these things, they fill them all the way and then cap them right at the edge of the cell where they fill them to. If they're not all the way full, they won't cap them. So sometimes you won't get them all the way capped. That's what I have found in my experience. And so no sense in leaving them sit out there because they're not gonna cap them. And so I dry them. Now, that's not for everybody. That's how I do, because remember, this is not a how-to video. This is a how I do video. Right, you got it. That's me, how I do. So how I do is I'm not gonna leave those on there. I'm gonna get them on, get the honey out, utilize the honey, because the brood boxes are packed. There's those second deeps on all of those hives are so full of honey that they have way more than enough. As a matter of fact, in spring, we'll probably be having to pull some of that out of there and clear it out for them so the queen has room. So yeah, so they won't cap them all, so I'll dry those that I can. I want all the supers off. I want all the honey cleared. But the bottom line is, get it off, get them settled in for the summer, put some space on the large ones, which I normally don't do, store some combs on the large ones, which I just kind of started doing, and get on through to the winter. So here we go. Let's talk about what we got. You've seen me harvest honey, so there's no sense in going through all that, how I uncap it, although I do want to go over my knife. I did verify with Hilco. Jennifer did redesign the Kelly knife. It's got a nylon handle. They're working on some other options for the handles, but that knife on their website is, in fact, this same similar knife. Now, I had mine sharpened. Was having a problem, and part of my process that I'm going to show you and what I have gotten now to speed up my process. I think part of my problem was the blade, but I think this thing was dull. I know it was dull actually, and what was happening was it was rolling some of the wax. So we were getting excess wax in our extractor the last 2 years. But especially when the honey is super thick, it doesn't cut as well. But this little knife does so well, and the length of it is great. So I really want to keep using it, so I got it sharpened. So hopefully that will cut down on the wax cappings that get in the honey. But that's what this video is about. What am I doing about all these wax cappings that were clogging my strainers and shutting my operation down with a quarter bucket of honey out of the extractor? I mean, it was getting painful. I have a total of 3 metal strainers and 1 plastic. That's 4 strainers, and you're rotating buckets constantly. It was a mess. So I'm gonna get set up here in a second. I'm gonna show you what I got, the addition to this line, my thought process, how I decided and came to this decision, and how we kind of fit it into our little small, and this isn't really a big business, I mean, but we do make a business decision on this because it's an investment, and how we fit it into our little operation. Alrighty folks, let's go ahead and get into this video. So as you can see on the ground by that 30 gallon and that 5 gallon, there's a Hilco honey pump. And over here is a Hilco clarifying tank. I'm gonna open this up and show you what it's all about. Now this tank here has about 5 gallons of honey. I measure from here to here, just to estimate I can tell, and how far I'm above the nozzle. That's at least 5 gallons, probably more like 6. And I'm gonna show you how we can get this stuff into buckets a little easier these days. Now before everybody starts thinking I just go spend money wildly on this kind of stuff, I was having problems with my strainers. But what I was running into was these strainers. You know them well, and I will still use them. I'm gonna use them today. These double sieve strainers, but I was using 4 strainers. 3 of these and 1 plastic is what I have. But I was using these strainers straight out of the extractor like I always have. Last year and this year, especially this year, what was happening was, and I think a lot of it had to do with my knife being dull, and it was chewing up a lot of wax, and so the small wax particles were really building up. Will just fixing the knife help everything? Yeah, but the problem was, even so, I was loading up so many wax cappings into strainers, and you guys know what it's like. We have to swap these buckets constantly. I got tired of it. Like, I'd had it, and I'll tell you what happened. I spent 8 hours doing 14 boxes a couple weeks ago, or maybe even 10 days ago. And my choke point should be my extractor. It really should. But what was happening was, the choke point was the buckets, literally. It would take me forever. I'd have to clean them out, get a quarter bucket of honey, and I got tired of it. And I said, you know, here's what we're gonna do. I brought the old CFO in here, right? The Chief Financial Officer, and she came in, and I spread out the costs in front of her. I spread out the time I was spending. What I've learned in my older age is time is money if you're in a business. And then you guys know I retired, time is time. I don't have a huge honey production business. While we'll probably do 3,000 pounds this year, we maintain a certain amount. Yeah, we do sell it, and I guess I could be considered a sideliner because, you know, I work in this. But it's not it's not my livelihood, and I don't need to spend days and days and days just extracting honey. I want to be able to go do things. I want to be able to go back out and take care of the bees. I want to be able to do stuff like that instead of being in the honey house for a week straight over just a few boxes. So something had to give, and I was frustrated. Another thing about this little business, we take every bit of this money goes back in, and I've explained that before. You see this nice, beautiful equipment I have. It's not because I just blow money and spend money and have money. It's because we turn this around into it. And so each year I get one big item. What I bought now may cause me not to have a great shopping experience at the expo, because maybe I went ahead and spent my annual big item money, which we kind of allot the money we make, the profit, to keep us in the black. I told you how we made the packages work and kept ourselves in the black. We're not wanting this to be a livelihood. We want to keep it in the black where it's a fun hobby that pays for itself and we enjoy it and we make the money on it, but we're big enough to do that. And so I brought her in and said, here's what we got, here's where we stand. I need to save time. I got to save time. And I think this will do it. So we spread out the cost of everything. I called Joey at Hilco and asked him if he had experience with it. He hooked me up with people that did and thought it back through. and I ordered it. They got it to me quick. I did say, look, if I order this, how quick can you get it to me? I wanted to start extracting Monday. I had it on Saturday, set it up, was ready to go on Monday, and ran it. What I can tell you is I did the same amount, actually I did 4 extra boxes. I did 16 boxes of honey, and I chopped 4 hours off of my time. I did everything in 4.5 hours or so. From then, that's including my cleanup. So with this clarifying tank, I'm gonna show it to you now. It's got the 2 outlets, one lower, one upper. I've got the pump hooked to that one. It's on the floor, so I have to pump it out. So I needed to get the pump. It's got lids. Take those off. There it is, full of honey. It's all equalized itself. Let's take this lid off. Oh. There we go. It's got 3 baffles, 4 tanks. It's set up a little different here on this. I did have an issue with receiving 1 baffle wrong, and within 2 days I got the right baffle, but I made it to where it'll work. And how mine is set up is, it dumps into this first tank. I no longer have to worry about what's dumping. This thing will hold 24 gallons. I do not sweat dumping into this thing at all. I just start working. What I will be doing on the end, which I'm going slow enough I don't have to worry, but this will sit in here just right. This is a little narrow. I talked to this guy that makes these. I think he's already working with maybe John on some of these too, but I want to put this on the clarifying tank. I can clamp it. So if it gets too high, it will go off. But it takes a long time to fill this baffle up because it has to go over and under, over and under. But he can make this wider for me, or it can drop down on there, be perfect height. Tells me when this one's full, because this is the one that I have to watch to make sure I don't overfill, and I pump it out into my buckets. This clarifying tank is pretty neat. So the first one just dumps. I don't have to sweat how much it's dumping, because it's got to fill 2 compartments. Whoops. It's got to fill 2 compartments, each being 6 gallons. So it has to go into that one and go under that baffle. Now, you're going to get some wax, but a lot of the wax is floating. Here's another feature. It's got one of his heater elements on it. Right now it's set at 90. I auto-tuned it and it stays within 1 degree. 1 degree. It's got an alarm set on it, and I've set it at least 10 degrees. No, it's set to when I work with it. Bottom line is it's not going to go too high on me. And Hilco has a video for that, on how to set that thing. So what I'll do is I'll jack the heat up on this thing really hot, so that, because it's not going to, the honey is not going to heat up. So when it is actually running, the heater doesn't play a huge role. It does help with the honey that's on the bottom, but it doesn't play a huge role. But it's great right now after sitting all night. So we're going to drain this off in a moment. I'm going to show you. So I don't have to worry about it. This thing fills up. I don't have to sweat, overflow, nothing. I just start cutting frames and spinning honey. What I can do with this tank is I can cut 18 frames, load my extractor. While that's running and dumping, I'm not even sweating it at this point. I'm already cutting a second 18. I get the second 18 cut. I take a box from the stack, throw it on my cracker. It's ready to go. So I've got 18 running, 18 in here, 1 ready to go. Then I can come around here and fill a bucket. I can fill a bucket through a strainer in anywhere from 7 to 9 minutes, 7 to 10 minutes, somewhere like that. Just going slow and easy. I don't need to go fast. By that time, the bucket's full. I park it, I put it in my little drip pan. What I am eventually gonna have is a hook on this so I can stand it up and let it drain on its own, where I don't have to hold it, as you'll see. I'll have an elbow where it can stay in a bucket, and I'll run it through a strainer into the bucket. As soon as those 7 to 9 minutes are over, I'm back. Unloading the extractor, loading the boxes, I load it back up, I start cutting that one, put it in, cut a second, put it in, put the third back on there. I'm ready to dump a bucket again. And that's how smooth that thing goes. Now, you might ask, well, how much wax does it really get out? And I'll answer that question, because so far, great success. I'm really happy with this thing so far. Is it perfect? No. Is it gonna get the cleanest, ready to put in a bottle wax? No, it's gonna have some wax in it. Although, when it has sat for 2 days like it has, that it will be clean enough to bottle on the bottom. Everything is floated up. But what I do, the first day I got done using it, the next day I went in and I skimmed, and I'm gonna show you a little clip of what I got out of that. This is the wax I'm gonna show you is what I deal with going through the strainers on a 14 box run. So this is what this first, what I pull out of the first, second, and third. The third had like just real thin, but this is 2 inches deep.
Now I'm gonna put this in my capping tank, but that's what we skimmed off. That's what I was dealing with going into a strainer over a 12 boxes, 10 to 12 boxes. This is what I was dealing with. And I think my knife is dull. Ken and I were just talking about that, so I'm probably shredding a lot of wax. It probably wouldn't be this bad for a person with the right kind of wax knife or uncapping knife, but that's what I'm dealing with.
Now that's a lot of wax in that strainer. And so what I did was I strained that off and let it drain out, and that's what was left over. Now your initial run, you're going to get a lot of wax through here. But the thing about this is, once you start running, so we'll drain this off in a minute. We'll get all this nice clean stuff out of these two tanks. Because look, it goes under, it comes up. This tank here is nothing more than a pass-through so they can go back over again into another under tank. So what you're wanting to do is get a majority floating here. You're going to get a good bunch. It's going to come under because the weight of the honey is going to push the wax down. It is going to go under. But a lot of the wax is floating up already for you. And as you extract all day, most of this wax is coming up. So this one gets thick with wax, like this thick when I'm done. This one, it gets maybe that much wax on it as it passes over, but it's going to pass over this. Some is going to get caught on this baffle. It's going to pass over. But now we have so much of it on top. A lot less is going under here. So what you get on this tank is a very fine wax. Very few large cappings make it over to here. And then you're going to pump it out. Again, once you get this thing running, it's not going to be crystal clear. But my strainers catch the rest of it, and I can drain through the strainers now much faster into the buckets. So I now have, I'll show you, and matter of fact, I'll show you in the video that I shot the other day what I'm catching. This has been 2 runs through this strainer. Is minor. It's minor. And then the bottom, the fines, I mean, they're there. So that's what I'm catching. And what it is, I can basically fill a whole, once I get going really good, I can fill 1 bucket per strainer. Instead of a 1/4 bucket, clean it, switch it, move it. Could I just dump straight in the bucket? Well, I thought about doing that and not dealing with the wax, letting it all float, coming back a few weeks later, or a couple weeks later, a couple days later, skimming the tops of the buckets. Because that's what Tom at Via Honeybees does with his drums. He puts it in the drums and he skims it and then bottles out of his drums, and he has no problems with debris or anything in his wax. The problem with the bucket doing like that, I thought about doing it, but now look, I would have to go through these buckets and unstack them to skim them, or skim them as I got ready to pour them. And really, when I'm ready to fill my bottle, I'm ready to fill my bottler. So no, I decided let's do the strainer. I'm still cutting my time in half, folks, because I'm filling 1 bucket per strainer. Clean the strainer, clean the bottom, you know, and it's done. And it's with a quick spatula. I throw it in here. There's hardly any wax to really pull off, and I keep going. So let's watch this thing work. Here's some from the other run I did the other day. Look, this is what I'm dealing with. But this right here is what I'm dealing with when it comes to what's going through those strainers. This is what I'm taking off of the clarifying tank. That thing is doing its job, folks. And what I'm going to do, so I don't, you know, it's not running over yet to the 3rd tank, but I don't want to drain my final tank down a whole lot. But this pump is so nice. This thing is so easy. Now this pump, you just, let's see, I got it in, it's a reverse and forward. I now got it in forward. This thing, you don't even need to prime it. It literally sucks everything out. But here it comes. And I turn it slow, and I just sit here and drain it on out through my strainer, because you can't overwhelm the strainer. But again, I'm saving so much time, I don't mind sitting here doing this, because again, 7 to 10 minutes is what I'm seeing on the, really 7 to 8, but it just depends. Like this one will be quick. So there's going to be some initial wax in the tube just because of the last run I did, because there's a little left in the hose. But after that, we're getting pure honey. And I just pump this bucket full, and then I move on to everything else. Now I haven't started uncapping yet, I'm not going to. All right, now my baffle over there is getting close. Can't see it real well, but the second baffle is getting close to getting ready to be topped. So we'll get wax going over it, but then we trap it in that 3rd compartment. You see how clean that is? That's some clean honey coming out. So it's settled. It is definitely clean. It's not going to be quite that clean as we get into this process, but it's still, you can still fill a bucket pretty quick. And this is a little warm because it's been warming over the weekend. I drain 1 bucket, and the reason I don't go further than that is I don't want to bring my wax down into my inlet that's floating, and the compartment holds about 6 gallons each, so I want to keep about 1 gallon in there like that. It gives everything time to rise when I'm out chopping frames some more. All right, our bucket is just about full. Now let's look at this wax. See how clean it is now? It's much cleaner because we pushed that initial top off. Now we'll get more as we go, but right now that's clean as a whistle because it's settled. Now here's what's cool about this. The pump, I simply push reverse and I suck the honey back the other way. It's gonna suck it through the tube. There it goes. So then I take this little jug here, and again, I'll refine this process. I stick it right here. And that's how I do it. It's as simple as that. Now it's time to, so now a bucket's been filled, I start cutting frames, off we go. And then I just get the process going. I am gonna refine this, I am gonna make a different setup, but this was a last minute, let's get it set up, let's get it figured out, and let's get extracting, because I needed to get through this. This was taking a long time. That's the honey going over the baffle now. Now granted, this has been settled out, and you can see the bottom, you can see through the honey to the bottom on that one. But it's ideal for it to run slow like this. So that's why I don't run them both at the same time if I'm getting an initial dump from my extractor. So there you go. Again, not supposed to be made to be a perfect, completely crystal clear honey, but it is made to speed things up, clarify it out, let it settle out. And for me, in my process, that's gonna work great. So I'm gonna get busy with some honey extracting. Something else I really like, look how pretty that is going across there now. Again, it's gonna get more wax in it. I'm not naive or delusional here. I don't want you to think that. But the slower and thinner coat of honey I can get across there, even though I'm pushing some more wax over, is better because now I'm not pushing the wax down as much on this side. I'm keeping it on the top. And I like it because I don't have to sweat having both of these open. What I'll do is I start extracting, I'll shut this, because that way I'm not pushing as much wax down. But it really is a matter of just opening and shutting gates. This thing, I just drain it how fast I want to. This tank right here. And look, we've already drained 2 inches off of it. That's a lot of honey. We've pushed it over the edge. When we start extracting, we're going to push more. Now we're going to get a lot of wax out of here. Here we are flowing again. All right, we're flowing over. As soon as we start putting honey in, we begin to flow over. So I'm wrapping up the end of the day here. Just finishing up a few things. There's my strainer. See the wax residue in there? Not bad. This is what it looks like when we're wrapped up. There's the pass-through tank. Of course, it's not clean, but you can tell on the baffle, there's not a ton of wax going across the top. And what I'll do now is I'm gonna turn the heat down on this so it's a nice even, probably around 90 degrees is what I'll leave it at. It'll warm the honey. I'll put the lids back on here, but before I do, I'm gonna skim this. So basically, in the last 4 hours or so, I just processed the drum. So there you go, that's what I'm gonna do. So right now, I'm gonna skim it, that's the end of the day, and put it up until probably tomorrow. I'm gonna try and finish everything up. But my problem is, I could keep on going. I'm moving at such a good pace now with this thing, but my main issue is, this uncapping tank fills up on me, and I don't have room for the cappings to drop anymore. It's okay to be a choke point for me. I don't like fooling with those strainers. I basically use one strainer all day today, just to fill buckets. I just fill buckets, fill buckets, fill buckets. Instead of dealing with bucket after bucket, trying to clean it and get it back under the extractor, back under the tank, this thing has saved me a tremendous amount of time. I am very pleased with its performance. Well, folks, that's all I can think of. I know it was lengthy, a lot of me yakking, which I do that anyway, because it's a vlog, right? Not a how-to. Just wanted to show you
my excitement over this. I think this is really going to refine this. Again, we sat down, we counted the cost, we looked at what we're doing for time, what we want to do in life, and I think this is a good investment to the process. We're going to use it, we're going to enjoy it, we're going to enjoy the time I can save from it. But I wanted to show you guys my new extracting line, because look, when we're done with these boxes, this thing will get cleaned out, and I'm gonna send the pump down to a buddy to try out. But anyhow, I do appreciate all y'all watching, putting up with my yakking all the time, and I hope you enjoyed it. This is Barry's Best Hunting. I'm Mike, and I do bees. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week, and may God bless you. We'll see y'all later.